Mr. President, will there be a peace summit in Budapest still this year? What do you think?
You mean a meeting with President Putin?
Yes.
You mean in Hungary? Well, I'd like to keep it in Hungary, in Budapest. That meeting, it turned out I didn't want to do that meeting because I didn't think anything was going to be happening of significance. But if we have it, I'd like to do it in Budapest. Yeah, it'd be good. We were talking about that with Viktor. He understands Putin and knows him very well. And I feel that, I mean, I'm going to let you say what you think, but I think that Viktor feels we're going to get that war ended in the not too distant future. Viktor, do you want to talk about that?
Well, I'm strongly convinced. So the question is whether we Westerners are unified or not. The problem is that the president has huge peace efforts, which are just splendid and very positive for the European continent and all the peoples of Europe. But at the same time, we are not unified because Brussels and the Europeans have a different approach to the war. So the only pro-peace government is the United States government and the small Hungary in Europe anyway. All the other governments prefer to continue the war because many of them think that Ukraine can win on the front line, which is a misunderstanding of the situation. So it's a complicated issue. We will discuss it. It requests not just 2 minutes to respond to your question, but rather than our lecture. Sorry, not to continue more.
To both of you.
So you would say that Ukraine cannot win that war?
You know, miracle can happen.
Yeah, that's right.
What is the main dispute with the Russians which prevent the Budapest summit with Putin from
the basic dispute is they just don't want to stop yet. And I think they will. I think it's taken a big toll on Russia, big toll on both countries, obviously, but it's taken a big toll. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. That's a big toll. And between the two of them, divided, you know, with Russia losing more soldiers, actually. But they're both losing a lot of people. And that's the primary thing that with me, it's not economic. It's not money. In fact, we don't spend any money. We send it to NATO. They pay us for our missiles and for our military and everything else. It's not a question of money. It was with Biden. He spent $350 billion. He got nothing for it. The war would have never happened. If I were president, the war would have never happened. I think you would agree with that. This war would never have happened if I were president. It's stupid that it happened, but it did happen. I inherited the war, and I think we're going to get it ended. Not too distant future. Yes, please.
So no question that if that time the name of the United States president would have been Donald Trump, there would be no war between Ukraine and Russia. That's clear. But what we are speaking about here is more than that, because without the pressure coming from the United States government, I'm speaking 2022, the Europeans would not take that hard line what they have today on the war. Remember that big countries of Europe rejected to be involved more than just sending some, humanitarian issues. So the pressure coming from the United States to be more pro-war in Europe. So that's the fact of the history anyway. So we have to restore something which was ruined and created from here. And that's the reason why I understand absolutely the devotion of the president now to do everything to stop the war, because that would be not that deep without the previous government pressure from here. So the reason why I'm here to be as much as helpful I can to contribute to the peace efforts of the president, because that was an enormous mistake what we have done, the Western world several years ago, and we have to stop it, and it's common responsibility.
Biden actually pushed for that war to happen. Okay, if you can believe it. Nobody can believe it, but it's one of those things. And now look what happened. Look what's happened to Ukraine. It's a much smaller country. A lot of people are dead. You take a look at it's a whole different world over there. And Russia has not been helped very much by that war either. They lost a tremendous number of soldiers and people. And look, that war should have been a 1 week war. I don't know why it's taken. This is 4 years. Should have been 1 week. Should have been over with, but it would have never started. Should have never started. And I would have solved the problem without giving up anything. Ukraine would have remained as is. So there were tremendous mistakes long before I got there. I inherited that mess, and we're getting it solved, along with the 8 wars that we've already ended.
Viktor Orban is meeting with Trump tonight. Even before the meeting, He said that a Putin-Trump meeting was possible in the coming days. My question to you here is, do you have a direct view of an opportunity for diplomacy in the near future, given the situation on the ground and the intelligence data? In general, what do you expect from the meeting? Do you really expect Trump to put pressure on Orban and explain to Orban why he should not block us in the EU?
If I may, I'll answer first. As for the meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Orban, I can only imagine the issues related to Ukraine that will be discussed. But we really don't know the bilateral relations of these countries. First of all, Orban wants to bring Trump back to Hungary to meet with Putin. You know how we feel about this. I won't repeat myself if there is a meeting, wherever it is, that definitely brings about a ceasefire and an end to the war. Ukraine will support any format. I have always talked about this. If the meetings are needed for Mr. Orban's electoral salute and without results, we cannot support this. Of course, meetings about us and without us are therefore fruitless. Because without us, in my opinion. But again, if there is a result, we accept any format, except for Russia and Belarus, because they are allies in this war against us. I am also confident that the Hungarian Prime Minister will raise energy issues. So everyone understands the consequences of the White House's sanctions and especially President Trump's sanctions on energy companies. Lukoil and Rosneft. There are a lot of companies. It is clear that the sanctions are very strong. Orban will look for opportunities to get special treatment for them. Of course, we will not support special treatment for Orban. We'll see what happens, what the United States decides. Let's put it this way. I think these are the two main things. He will tell him that Putin wants to end the war, because the Prime Minister's rhetoric is no different from Russia's. He will say that Ukraine is losing the war because his rhetoric is no different from Russia's. Well, it's a kind of, I would say, live mail from Russia to the United States of America.
Do we believe that Trump can influence the Hungarian Prime Minister to stop blocking Ukraine's European integration? Should we expect that Trump will be able to influence Orban to stop Hungary from buying Russian oil? Thank you.
You are asking two questions that Orban came with, mostly, so that they can somehow solve them so that their oil dependence on the Russian Federation does not suffer. I am sure that he will raise it simply as much as possible. But he must also understand our attitude to this. We cannot allow the Russians to make money on this, on energy. And even where our hands are tied because of certain contracts, obligations, etc., we will still find a way to make sure that there is no Russian oil in Europe. It is very good that the United States is interested in this. But as a country under Russian aggression, we are definitely interested in this. And Orban, who is constantly talking about issues with various players who are important to influence us. In my opinion, he should have built his election campaign not on hatred of Ukraine, but on friendship, on the fact that, look, I have a problem regarding the energy sector, let's help me solve it. And he thinks not about people, not about solving this problem, but about himself. And he thinks that he will do it using the hate for Ukraine. He won't. Why? Because we won't. We will not allow the Russians to sell oil there. It's a matter of time, of our stand. Some things we simply cannot do today because there are many different dependencies in this puzzle. But we will still make a picture from this puzzle. He clearly understands this, and no one can influence us. Just no one. And that's why he blocks. He thinks that he will block us in Europe, but no one will stop Ukraine's development.